everyone receives is a reflection of us.
Good evening. Somewhat of a lighter idea and thought. One of spiritual energy and intrigue, wonder. Do you have an imagination? Are you able to foresee and picture things clearly? Then I call to you to picture this. Look inside your mind and visualize the image of an igloo. The shape, more importantly, do you see that curvature, that arch? Now imagine that igloo is over your home, or the place where you sit or reside currently. Imagine that igloo over the entire property, or place. It can be just around you, if you like. Now imagine the warmth that you feel from that, and imagine that igloo now turning into a radiant energy. One of beautiful, sparkling energy, like a lightning strike in terms of color, but the wonder and the love and the aura of the energy surrounding it. That force field, protecting you from all those things. Now imagine that energy is the protection of yourself, your home, but it is also from the outside world. Now picture this, that outside of where you currently are more of these energy igloos of all different things and people and creations, loving, caring. And then there is a larger one over the whole thing, which is you can tap into if need be. Think about the idea of being able to have your own connection inside your own igloo, inside your other house. So you're going to always be connected, and you can connect to the outside world. You always are. But the reason why I bring this idea and this image to mind and let your mind wonder about the possibilities of what that could mean and see is I would like you to understand something. When I see that, I always like to feel that, what about your personal life? If there is a connectedness of all energies from all beings and people and things, I want there to still be a sacredness of personality, individuality. We're not all perfect. Things where you can do an experiment, have fun, enjoy, but you don't need to share that because those things are meaningful. Is that restricting? I don't believe so. I think that's allowing. There are things that can be done, but you see, this is what happens when you go into the mind, you generate this. Where does the ego go? Where do the questions go into, well, what if something does someone bad, or the other way around, what if someone does something bad? And that draws us back into that negativity. Why? Because when we start picturing those energy of greatness, it affects the virtual reality we live in. The reality we live in, or the matrix, or the 3D world, or whatever you choose to call it, starts knocking on the door, pushing it back, raising the vibration. Because what happens is sometimes you think, well, I don't want to lose that, so I cling on to it. I attach myself to it because of all these things that I'm going to have to leave behind. It isn't about leaving those things behind. It's about finding the ways to be better, but be who you are, but improve without losing those key aspects. There are areas of our lives that we improve, we change, or we make good. for a long time, sometimes I'm always thinking more about, will I ever lose who I am, or who I was? But when you start seeing it like you're adapting, well, this brings a different energy. Let's talk about how all the creatures in the world and plants alike adapt, but the humankind does not. But you see, you can adapt because you change with where you're going, but you're not losing who you are, but you're creating that new environment around you to be who you are. So the imagination creating those energy vortexes and domes and igloos over the home, what color did you see? Did you picture it like the color lightning, like I suggested? Maybe you saw it as a radiant white or a radiant gold or violet. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was raining down. It changed. Where did your mind sight go? Did it feel good or negative? Did it feel like something was attaching to yourself after you did it? Maybe not. Maybe it's comfortable and that's the whole plan. I don't know whether it's true or whether it's exactly what everyone teaches us. So, I think along the way, the idea is to see how it feels when you visualize that. It is exactly that downloading of things. Imagine being able to walk outside and go, do you know what? I don't know how to speak French or Spanish or Italian. So you could go in, tap, and download how to speak that language. Just wow. When you think about the reality of that, situations that occur that we don't need to download everything and be all-knowing and all this. And I think in past civilizations, this is what occurred with all of this attachment to the wisdom. People got so smart, or too smart, started developing other things. Because that's not living in the moment. See, when you live in the moment and you require the things you do for the things that you're doing, now that's living in the moment. For seeing things, you don't need gifts for that. You just have that innate ability. Maybe you want to ride a motorcycle, so you download how to do that. I think with everything, there will always be limitations. But that's not through negative or fear. I think that's just through education of understanding. Almost the ability to do it in a manner that is loving and carefree. Some things we don't really need to know why or how or who, because they're not on our path. But as a collective, I think we need to be able to understand the things and why they occur. So I ponder the thought, and I leave it with you as well. What do you visualize these things? Does it just come to mind? What are the things that you daydream about on a spiritual level? Now, I don't need to know, and neither does anyone. But it is fascinating because the things that make us feel good, that are not for us, but are positive and loving on an energy level, now that moves mountains. So it is with peace and love. Take care.